Guys, what I wanted to do in this video was to take a few minutes to talk about something that I keep hearing about from a lot of folks out there, particularly customers of control companies. And one of the things that I have seen many times over is that different control companies will come in, put a system in for someone, and they will basically lock the user out of a lot of the control points within their system. I know it has not been very long. I actually had a Tritium Jace pulled up. Of course, it was one that has been installed for a while. It's an old AX Jace. The problem that was going on was the fact that the people that installed that Jace, when they pulled the control points in, they left all of the points as read only. A lot of those key points were necessary to be changed, various set points and things like that, depending on the operation of the system. We can also see that same type of thing even within Metasys when points get pulled into it as well. It seems to be a little more forgiving with Metasys than it is with Tritium if you pull a lot of points in all at one time. I know one of the things that causes people to do what they do within Tritium is basically those points are defaulted to read only. And then instead of going through and setting many of those points as writable, they will just pull in a huge number of points, leave them read-only, and just move on, finishing the graphics and things like that. And from the customer side, that is a bad practice. From the control company side, that may be a good thing because anytime something needs to be changed, then the control company has to come back in and change it. And that is a terrible way to do business. And when I see things like that on our site, I do not accept it. In fact, I immediately change it whenever I can. Now, just to point out the way that some of these control points are, you have your various analog inputs and outputs. We know about all those. That's very common. This point here is an analog input, and it is, a physical connection on a controller. But it also, some of these points can be a data value. You can see here, ADF. That means that is a data field. Okay, and when these points are pulled in, if the point is not pulled in correctly, it will come in basically as, however the default is, as a write only, things like that. Even within Metasys, if you have this set to local control, this will lock an operator out from making changes on something. And let's just look at something real quick. Within this control point here, you can see that it is currently in unoccupied state. I can click in here, and if I go to adjust, I do have the ability to change the state of this box. Once I press that save button, I am able to change it. Okay, no problem whatsoever. It accepted that change, and then the box would do whatever is necessary. If I click in here, and again, guys, a lot of this goes back to the people that you have setting your system up. Underneath this exact same point, I want you to notice something. This local control option is currently set to false. It's common at times to see these points set to true. Now let's go back and see what happens when I try to change that command after it has been set to true. In fact, what we will do, you can see it here, it is currently occupied. If I go in here and I select adjust, if I'm going to take it back off, and and if I change it back to unoccupied and press save, look at what it gives me. Okay, it gives me an error. Point is under local control. Okay, and that is simply because of the way that it was set up. And of course, I changed that. I'm the administrator on our system, and I do have the rights to be able to make these changes. In fact, the folks that are in our shop do. This is something that if you do not have the right permissions within your system, that it can cause you problems if you're needing to make a simple change. And I can command it again from here, even here on the screen. Adjust, take it back unoccupied, and again we will see that it gives me that error. Point is under local control. If I change this to false, as it was previously, I can then change this to whatever I need it to be. Okay, just to show you, adjust, unoccupied, and now it accepts it. Command sent successfully. That's what we want to see. And we can see there the command value is now unoccupied. Again, this goes back to the individual that set your system up. It goes back to your individual rights on that system. Okay, not everyone will have administrative rights on many of these systems. However, someone does need the ability to be able to go in and change certain things. If a controls company does not set the system up correctly, it's going to be much more difficult for that to happen. Now, if you connect to an individual controller using a map gateway or something like that, of course, this is an N2 trunk, so we wouldn't be doing that. But some of these control companies will basically set things up, pull in everything as read-only, give it to the end user, and when a change is needed to be made, then a tech from the controls company can come back in, simply plug into the controller with a map gateway, change the value from that map gateway, and never pull the point into the front end to where it could be adjusted. This is a tragedy. It's bad practice in my opinion. I recently got a phone call from a university up in Indiana. If any of you guys are watching this, nice talking with you. I'm sure that maybe we can talk again sometime in the future. Unfortunately, a controls company can get a very bad reputation based solely on how their techs work on a system on a site. And that was basically the case that it happened. They had a bad experience. Apparently, they went to a completely different company, changed out a bunch of devices, and in my opinion, they're not better off. But at the same time, if you get bad service from one company, what do you do? And it's a real shame. A lot of that goes back to the individual company, the individual control company that you're working with. The people that are there are the ones that make the difference. Okay, you need to be very well aware of that. Okay, so don't go and hurt yourself and do things badly. Again, this is very common with Tritium. This is, of course, Metasys that we have up in front here. I think I'm going to do some future videos going a little deeper into this in Tritium. If you have the ability and the tools and things like that within your system, you can go and change those points, but my recommendation would be to have it set in a contract for your company or controls vendor to set those points to where you can make those changes. But guys, this is just a quick discussion that I wanted to have. I'm going to be talking about this more in the future, so be sure to subscribe to the channel for that. And I'm going to try to get a few more folks in to kind of share some information with that. So if you got any information that you want to share, please leave it down below in the comments. But guys, thanks for watching. Check out all the videos on the channel. Let me know if you have any questions. Leave those down there in the comments as well. Check out the links down below this video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.